What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. Back at it again. Just like Hasbro, they keep cranking out new reveals, new releases, new surprises for us. Earlier this week, we got some new additions to the Marvel Legends Infinity Saga for you MCU collectors. Today, they showed off two new additions to the retro line based on comic book attires from some of your favorite characters. So let's take a look at these new reveals. But first, let me make sure to give a big thank you to all of you out there who are supporting this brand. Thank you so much for everything that you do to support this channel. It means so much to me. And I just really appreciate it because without you all, I would not be doing this every day or as often as I possibly could. And it's all because of you guys. So thank you again so much for your support, especially you super supporters who are out here investing into this channel. So thank you so much for that. And now let's take a look at the first reveal. It's Moon Knight from the retro line. And this Moon Knight figure is really overdue for a lot of you because there was not a chance to get this figure, especially if you were trying to clock that one from Walgreens that was very popular and a really good figure. I mean, I definitely don't want to diminish that whatsoever. Here's this figure in all of its glory, a really well done Marvel Legends figure. I think this came out back in 2016 as part of the Walgreens exclusives. Back when Walgreens was just cranking out really strong Marvel Legends figures. This is a fantastic one, and Walgreens Fantastic Four. So yeah, that makes sense. But a really well done figure, great design. You see the bracelets, the belt, tons of detail on this figure. The white is a pure white. There's no needless shading on it. It's really well done and just a really great figure. And it gave you two options, one with this silhouetted black head, which is much more how he appeared in the comic books. And then, of course, the white head sculpt where it was just all white to mirror the entire outfit. So we got a little pearlescent here on the gauntlets, the boots, and the belts, but it's basically all white. So I really liked how this figure turned out. But now Hasbro is giving everyone who missed out on this figure a chance to get it again. And you definitely, if you had not gotten this other chance, you go to Amazon route and pay $80 for it. So this is definitely one of those cases where Hasbro is looking out for the collectors, getting back a figure that's been long sold out and really expensive, hard to acquire for a reasonable price. So now you can get this figure for $24.99. It's definitely a figure that anyone who missed out earlier should have in their collection, especially if you're a Moon Knight fan. This is just a really smooth looking figure and it poses so well. I mean, you can tell from these pictures, you can pull off some really great poses with this figure. Tons of cool options in terms of accessories, how you want to display them. He's got these larger crescent moon throwing instruments. I don't know if you call them stars or throwing moons in this case, but they're really cool objects there. And this guy can just do so much. He's got gripping hands, so he can hold this stuff with no problem. And it's just a fun figure to pose and mess around with. He's got these smaller throwing moons as well, and you can throw them into different fingers. Really cool options just in terms of how you want to mess around with him. So this is a really cool, really great addition to the Marvel Legends line. And I was very excited to get him when I had him. So hopefully everyone who missed out earlier can now get this figure, add him into your collection as well. And you see he comes with a ton of accessories, just a whole slew of really useful, really necessary figure accessories for a character like Moon Knight. So you can see here, we've got his staff, and that's really important, definitely necessary for him. Check out those butterfly shoulders. They're very helpful in terms of his posing and moving. Double jointed elbows. And this is just a re-release of an older figure, so it's still got the pins in there, but really smooth movement. I mean, I really didn't have any issues whatsoever ever moving him. This is, of course, the whited out head sculpt, just a little touch of gray around the eyes. It kind of makes it show like he's not getting any sleep at all. The larger crescent moons, the three smaller ones. So you've got some options. I really like that. And then we've got the swappable fist or the gripping hands, whichever one you choose for them. But it's really nice to have options, of course. And this is the back of the card. We read you the bio real fast. Moon Knight, a vision in an Egyptian temple, leads Mark Spector to don the shroud and become the crime-fighting hero, Moon Knight. Now, again, it's not one of these long, drawn-out bios, but it gets the job done. It tells you everything you basically need to know about the hero. Of course, I would have loved if this figure was slightly, oh so slightly tweaked. And I know for a repaint, where they're putting absolutely no work into it. This is more for people who missed out, but I kind of feel like Hasbro missed an opportunity for more than just the people who missed out on this original Moon Knight figure to get this figure, but all of us who are wanting to add to one of our teams that they've started and really got going later on so far this year. And of course, I'm talking about the West Coast Avengers because we got this great box set here. And this is a really good set. It includes Iron Man in his Silver Centurion armor with more of a comic book coloring white. That's really cool and a useful addition to this figure. Then we got Tigra, we got Mockingbird, Spider-Woman, and Hank Pym, my guy. So I'm really happy to get this set. And Moon Knight, of course, was a member of this team. And there's just a slight tweak from this one that we were getting re-released in the West Coast Avengers era Moon Knight, and that's with these gold elements to it. So it's got these gold bracelets. There's some Egyptian designs within the bracelets here. The belt, not so much with the ankle bracelet pieces, but there you can tell there's some lining there. I don't know if I would have been complaining so much if Hasbro decided to go, hey, this time we're just going to paint these sections gold. Like I don't think I'd have been upset if this was gold and they just did a little gold here. I think the belt is way more important to do a unique design because this is totally not the usual design belt we're seeing with this figure. This has a little bit more of a wrestling connection to it where it's got like the eagle, like the WWF winged eagle belt. So maybe I should just use one of my WWE belts for it. But that's definitely something I would have loved to have seen. And you can see there's not a lot of difference here with this one and the one they're re-releasing, just a matter of some gold elements. And I almost feel like this is a case where Hasbro could have done something that we don't see them do enough of, where we have swappable parts, where maybe you just add on and these gauntlet pieces, these bracelets, just snappable, swappable. You switch them out. You have your white one here, and then you can swap it out for the gold one. Same deal for the ankle parts here. And then, I mean, how hard would it have been to put a tab here with the belt and just have this piece swappable or just fit over this belt? I don't feel like that would have been too much. I feel like I would have happily traded out some of the throwing moons, some of the swappable hands to do that. Then maybe even add some bolos because he was using them as a weapon as well during this time frame. So that would have been really cool to just have this so we could have a Moon Knight that really functions, really works within the West Coast Avengers setup. So then, of course, here's another look at this outfit, and you can see it's really just about that belt piece. Yeah, there's some design elements in this, in the bracelets as well, but it's not something that we couldn't see. It's not something that they could just skip and I'd be really upset with. So they kind of missed the mark just a little bit. Again, for everybody who missed out on that Marvel Legends Moon Knight when it first came out to Walgreens, really happy that you guys get another crack at this because this is one of my favorite street level figures, street level characters, and I think they did a phenomenal job on it. I just wish I could have gotten another edition to properly put with my West Coast Avengers, as opposed to just acting like he has gold. Maybe I'll get another version of this figure and just custom make these parts that I need to really get that full look for him. Then the other reveal that we got today was Spider-Man from Amazing Fantasy. And this is his debut look, and I really love how this figure turned out. It's a really strong looking figure, hitting all the poses you want from your Spider-Man figure. Really nice pose here. It's got the folded wings underneath his arms. That's nice. Great looking articulation. He's got the torso crunch. He's got, the ab crunch. And then he's got the torso floating piece, which is really good for Spider-Man figures. Of course, the double jointed elbows, bicep, butterfly shoulder pieces there. No pins, which is great, as always, for Spider-Man figures. So I really love this. Not the most modern Spider-Man, because you see there's no toe articulation, but pretty close to everything you want out of that Spider-Man articulation. Then he's got his web line once again, and I really like the look of this figure. I think they did a really nice job with it. Great head sculpt on Spidey there, and this is pretty accurate to how his spider bug logo looked there in the beginning, but yeah. And then I just kind of love the shot with him using it to create like a ladder, if you will, or swinging vine piece. And you see these arm wings. They're not perfect, but I think that's as good as they could have accomplished. This piece is the folding one, of course, and this is the longer I'm doing my gliding in the air winged element there. So that's really cool. I like to see that. I wish they could figure out a way to fix this pin joint though, because you love this to be black like the rest of this shoulder piece, but it's just not something they could figure out. And I'm happy with the pins being removed, so we don't have to deal with that issue anymore. But great posability out of this figure. He really looks good. And this kind of mixes up a little bit because he's more black than he is traditional blue. So that helps as well. And just look at these poses you can get out of this guy. Lots of fun on that end. So no complaints, no issues with me on that end. And this, of course, is a take on that iconic Amazing Fantasy 15 cover. You can just imagine a goon in his hands, but really strong shot. And just to remind you what it looks like, here you go. I almost wish, since they're tweaking this figure just a little bit, they would have gone even further. And I said it was great that they didn't do it with Moon Knight, but I really want to see a Spider-Man figure from Hasbro where they just go, hey, let's do what they did in the comic book. Let's throw in a lot more black. And then we have this shading of blue on the outskirts of the costume, where it's just on the sides. We have a little blue, and then the rest is just that illusionary black setup. I think that would make for a really striking looking Spider-Man figure and something we haven't seen from them yet. And there's so many Spider-Man figures. This would be a really cool, different way to go with them. So we got that. And then, of course, this is the tweak with this figure. It's the blue spider. And I had to look all over because I was like, when was this even the thing? Because I didn't remember it at all. So I had to track down, go to Reddit to figure out what the heck this is from because I just never saw this. So apparently this is what it actually looked like back in the day. I've only seen reproduced reprints of this where the color of the spider is corrected. It's red like how it always is, but Hasbro decided, hey, let's switch it up a little bit. So here you go. You can see the blue spider. And that almost makes for a unique enough Spider-Man figure to make this one worth grabbing, with your Spider-Verse shelf. And I'm sure a lot of you have a dedicated Spider-Verse shelf with all 45 regular Spider-Man plus the Spider-Verse variants of Spider-Man on your collection. So I get that. And this is maybe a kind of cool variant as well. But let's talk about the price point of these guys. Spider-Man is $27.99 once again. This figure came out with basically the same set of accessories before at $27.99 during the Spider-Man grand anniversary. I think his was the 60th as well. But I'm really perplexed that they've just decided, hey, we're going to do this one more time with the same price point. Let's break down the accessories. He's got the web line. He's got the wall crawling hands, the web slinging hands, the swappable clutching hands, the smaller crunched in arm wings, and the expanded out arm wings. So there's a lot of accessories with this figure. And it's almost like, hey, that's a pretty decent deal in terms of what you're getting here. But I just feel like that should not be, oh, this is so special. Look at what all the stuff they're throwing into this figure, especially when you look at Moon Knight. And Moon Knight has just about the same amount of accessories. He's got just 2 sets of hands instead of 4 sets, instead of 4 swappable hands. But he also has a different head sculpt, which is really, really great and nice to see with this figure. Then he's got 5 weapon pieces, and that's really good. And the staff. So I kind of feel like Moon Knight is just fine holding up on his own compared to Spider-Man's accessories for $3 cheaper. So that's kind of weird to me. He's $24, Spider-Man is $27.99, going back to this price point. And it's weird. I wish Hasbro would sort this out a little bit better. Both of these figures are Target exclusive, so it's not a deal where, hey, because this one's a GameStop exclusive, it's going to be a little bit more, and this one's going to be cheaper because it's a Target exclusive. The one saving grace is because it's a Target exclusive, you're more than likely to see this hit a clearance price eventually. I don't think there's going to be a situation like that Black Widow, because Black Widow hadn't had 50, 60 versions of this costume like the Spider-Man figure. I mean, we've gotten several Spider-Man figures. This exact one, with the exception of that blue, was previously released already. And as a matter of fact, you can still pre-order and get this figure from Entertainment Earth, one of my affiliates. So you can get the original version of this, the Amazing Fantasy one, with the same amount of accessories, the whole works, the wings on his under his arms. I mean, you can just get this figure all over again, and you can get it right now or pre-order because it's not scheduled to come out until December for the same price point of $27.99. So there is a bit of a problem where the figure is still coming out This one's set for September pre-release or pre-order release, and you still get the original version later on down the road. So I still don't understand this price point in these figures. I wish they would just settle into one that Marvel's wave is $22.99, and I think that's the price point that works for Marvel Legends in 2023. It seems like Target is trying to figure out how to do their inventory a little bit better, so they don't have tons and tons of figures on the shelf that they're eventually going to send off to Ross, all these TJ Maxx, Burlington, etc. But I still don't feel like this is going to really prompt a lot of people to go, oh man, I've got to hurry up and buy this version of Spider-Man for $27.99 because it's never going to go on clearance. Still think that's a risky deal for retailers and for Hasbro to set this price. But anyway, I'm very curious what you all think about these two reveals. Are you excited about Moon Knight? Would you have rather seen them do the West Coast Avengers style with the gold accents just to mix it up a little bit more? Because I feel like that's a costume alteration where people who still miss out on the original figure wouldn't feel like, oh man, I got chipped out having to get this one with the gold. I think really it's time for Hasbro to step it up a little bit, implement some new things, swappable accessories like bracelets. That would have been a really good extra value on this figure. If they had done that, I think I would have been okay with this figure being $27.99 because then at least you got a 2-in-1 kind of figure setup where Spider-Man doesn't offer anything different. So let me know, are you interested in Moon Knight or this new version of Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man? Is this enough of a tweak to make you double dip and grab that figure as well? So anyway, thank you so much for watching. As always, appreciate each and every one of you for checking it out. Make sure to like the channel. If you're so inclined, subscribe. It's always definitely appreciated. So hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll be back later on. You have a good one. Thank you so much for tuning in. This episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.